That's what I'm talking about, son. Get you some of that daggone pie.
Woo-hoo! Looky there. There's your bug-eyed big one right there.
Getting started. We're getting started.
Here's what I'm talking about. Gosh dang gorilla.
Let's go, baby. Straight meat. God, look at that big one.
All right, welcome into the show, everybody. This is the BAM Pod, and I'm your host, Big Ed. And tonight on the line, I've got a gentleman coming to us tonight from Tuskegee, Alabama, by way of Richmond, California. He's a $1 million bass angler. He's a two-time Bassmaster Classic qualifier, a Red Crest Classic qualifier. Well, it's not a classic, I guess, if it's Red Crest, but he's 5-time Red Crest qualifier. And I'm bringing to you tonight Mr. Mark Daniels Jr. Mark, welcome into the show, my friend.
What is up, my man? How you doing?
Oh, we're just sitting here in California enjoying the nice weather here. We got a little bit of a cool down coming up. I know you're getting ready. If I go by all the stats I read on the internet, you're getting all kinds of stuff done, but you said you've got one more tournament left. You've got the team series you just wrapped up. Man, I just want to talk to you tonight. We started this off talking, and when I started talking to him, I wanted to talk to him about what's coming up. This is the time of year when it gets tough out there. These fish start moving around, changing where they're going to be. They're not as predictable as they used to be. It used to be just a couple weeks ago, it was, top water. You can catch them on this, you can catch them on that. They're feeding up. But right now it's going to get tough, and it's a transition. And I want to talk to you, Mark, about tough transition fishing. As a professional angler that you are, man, you got to know how to catch these fish no matter what you're doing and how you're doing it. Let's talk about how to teach some people out there how to catch these fish, man.
Yeah, there's no doubt, man. I mean, for me, I consider this time of year right now where we're at, this is late summer. And so you hear people talk about, the dog days of summer. And here where I'm at, I live in the Southeast in Alabama. I don't know if any of my Western folks have been down here or not, but it's top tier toasty. We get hot in Cali, but we don't get the humidity like we get down here. And so, I mean, we are seeing water temps in the 90s here where I'm at. And it's just, it makes for some extreme tough conditions to catch them, especially when we're talking anything after 9 a.m. where you can't chase shade lines and you can't find any cooler water. It's just brutally tough. But this is where you separate the men from the boys, man. And I actually love fishing during this time of year because it's the time of year where you can't just go down the bank pitching a Cinco at targets that you can see and catch them. You got to actually know something. And I really enjoy it, man, because it's tougher. But when you do get bit, it's extremely rewarding because generally you have figured something out. So as far as, my approach to it this time of year in these tougher conditions, the first thing that I'm going to share with you guys, I'm going to drop a couple little nuggets in this podcast, man. I really want to help some folks. And, this is how I attack things, man. And this is not a 100% accurate. Obviously, every body of water is going to be different, but these are just a few things that I like to go through on any random lake just to kind of see if there's any activity. And the first thing is, with it being so hot, one of the most key things is oxygen levels and cooler water temps. And where are you going to find that? You're going to find that in any sort of influx of water coming into the system that you're fishing. So I'm talking feeder creeks, I'm talking river systems. If you happen to live on a lake that has dams that generate water, like here in Alabama, we have Alabama Power on all the Tennessee River lakes, but even some of the smaller lakes near where I live, they have a water generation schedule. So they'll turn water on and off given the time of day. And when they do that, naturally that increases the oxygen level in the moving water. And it also decreases the water temperature. Moving water is going to always be cooler than stagnant water. So, just off the top, that's something that is a huge deal as far as locating bass and bait fish as well. The bait will be there too. They also want higher oxygen level, and they also want cooler water temps. So that's the first one I'm going to share.
Okay. Let me ask you one question when you talk about the water temperature lowering, you started off saying, we got water temperatures up in the 90s up there. When you talk about that water lowering, the temperature lowering, how much? What's the drastic? And is there a too cold? Is it like, it's coming out of the bottom of the other lake? Now, and I know the lakes back there are not nearly as deep as what you have out here.
Right.
It's not like Shasta, Corville, where you're taking out of 300, 400 feet of water. You're taking out of, taking out of 25 feet of water. Is that water temperature dropping so much that they become inactive for a little bit? Or is it just as soon as that thing starts generating, they're turning on?
Discover Plumas County, where adventure meets tranquility. Nestled in the heart of nature, Plumas County offers endless activities for everyone. Dive into the clear waters of Lake Almanor for wakeboarding thrills and fishing excitement. Whether you're an adrenaline junkie or a fishing enthusiast, Lake Almanor has something for you. Stroll through charming local boutiques and indulge in fine dining experiences that will tantalize your taste buds. From unique shops and gourmet restaurants, Plumas County is a haven for those who love to explore and savor. Immerse yourself in lush forests of pine and fir trees, perfect for camping, hiking, and biking. And don't miss the breathtaking Lassen Volcanic National Park, where you can witness the power and beauty of nature up close. Footloose in Plumas County, your ultimate escape for adventure, relaxation, and unforgettable memories. Visit Plumas County today.
So the water temperature initially when they start generating won't just immediately be cool, but as it continues to generate, in time, it will drop up to, I would say, 5 degrees. Okay. And believe it or not, that's significant when you're talking like, let's say the water temp was 90 and now it's 85. You will have fish swim a decent ways to seek out that cooler water, which again has a higher oxygen level. So they're just that much more comfortable. And then the bait fish is doing the same thing. So it's just one big party.
Okay. What do you think as far as you kind of mentioned, fish will move up into that. If let's say you're fishing a half a mile down the lake and they start generating, do you think those fish are going to run that far, or is it more of if they're in the vicinity of maybe 100 yards, 200 yards, something like that?
So on these lakes that have generation schedules, these fish already kind of live in these zones. Okay. Right? It's just they become extremely inactive when that water's not generated. Just like everybody can relate to the California Delta. Right. One of my favorite fisheries in the whole world. When that water's slack, you ain't getting bit. Right? Right. But the moment it switches, my man Bobby Barrick talks about it all the time, that magic window, right? The moment it switches and now you get some flow and you get some current, and it starts positioning these fish on these high percentage ambush places, all of a sudden it's literally like a light switch. They just start biting. And it's like, what the heck? Well, it's because that water, they wait until the water moves so they can set up on things specifically that gives them the advantage to ambush food. And it's no different on all these reservoirs all over the country, wherever you got moving water.
Okay. So, that's a great, I guess that's a great way to look at this now, is Delta versus the lakes a little bit. You start that generation. So when you go to a lake that has water generation like that, like one of your local lakes down there in Alabama, they're going to turn it on. Hey, you know what? That water is going to be turning on today. We check the schedule at, I don't know, let's just say random number, 11 o'clock in the afternoon, they're going to turn that, or 11 o'clock in the morning, they're going to turn that thing on and start generating. Okay, cool. Yep. I know that. Now, how does that make you start during the day? Because I know, like with the Delta, there are guys, and you're probably one of them that chases tides or chases this or how do you address the lake before they start generating it? And then how soon do you want to be? It's like, they're going to turn it on at 11. I want to be there at 10:30, or I want to be there at 11:30. What's kind of your way of looking at that?
Yeah, so no, that's a great question. So like naturally, if they're generating at 11 and the tournament starts at, 6:30, you got some time before that even happens. So what do you do with this leisure time, right? So I call it leisure time, but you know,
Is
if you're
is that
literally waiting
breakfast?
for that generation. Yeah,
that's when you go have
in
breakfast.
some cases, in some cases, you might as well not even launch the boat until 11. Seriously, but
Wow.
luckily, a lot of these fisheries around here are good enough to where a guy can still go run shallow bank grass, swimming a jig, frogging, of course, brush piles, etc. The problem, and now, and you'll catch some fish. Don't get me wrong, but we've all realized, you know, with the electronics that we have available these days, most of these bass just live offshore. I mean, that's just the natural reality of it. And so this time of year, even those offshore roaming style fish become very lethargic and hard to generate a strike out of. But the ones that set up in that current, they're positioning on most time rock, sometimes wood, but they're positioning on something and they're ambush predators. They're waiting for something to come by and then they pounce on it and then they get it, right? And so you're not sitting there chasing them around. They're literally waiting for something. Okay. So it's a little bit of a different game. But for me, I'm top water in the mornings, hard, running shade lines shortly thereafter, and then I'm instantly waiting on that generation schedule and I'm rolling straight up to that current and getting busy in that.
Tell a new fish story with Garmin EchoMap Ultra 2 chart plotters in 10 and 12-inch models featuring traditional clear view, side view sonar. Heard about Garmin's LiveScope, live scanning sonar? EchoMap Ultra 2 is compatible with that also. You can even capture your favorite and best fish catches with the new screen recording feature. What more could you want? How about built-in Garmin Navionics, inland and coastal mapping? Wireless networking? Check and check. EchoMap Ultra 2. Check it out at Garmin.com or shop your local Garmin dealer.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this then. So, how does that, maybe it doesn't at all, I guess, affect when you start talking about this time of year and you're going from summer to fall? This is the transition we're talking about. This is that, you know, it becomes sometimes so tough out there. Now we're talking about looking for that, you know, look for the water coming in, look for the, you know, look for that water generation. If you're fishing on, let's say you're fishing on a lake that doesn't have any of that, you know, you're just out there fishing. There's no generation. Maybe there's not even a creek running because, you know, let's just say you transported to Texas, right? There ain't no water running, you know, you're just all of a sudden out there fishing. When you talk about the transition, what is it? I guess, what is it that you're looking for to say, okay, you know what? I'm on a lake that has nothing. This tournament is going to be tough. Like I'm going to have to go out and do what I do to make this thing work. What is it that you're going to be doing?
I mean, before I get into that, I'm going to say this. There's almost, I'm trying to think in my mind. I can't think of many lakes that do not. See, I might be giving away too much here. I can't think of any lakes that do not have some form of water running in at all times. Right?
Okay.
So, I mean, you name it, even like our Northern California lakes, Shasta, Oroville, Berryessa, the list is long, right? We got so many lakes. I can't think of one of them amongst all the others, all the mother lode lakes, that don't have some flow coming in. And so I'm going to say that, and I'm going to just set that right here for people to chew on and put two and two together, right?
Yeah.
And so that's going to be number one for me. That's what I'm going to be looking for. Now, in the event that there isn't that, the next thing that I'm going to do is utilize my electronics. And what am I looking for there when I'm utilizing my electronics? Anymore, we have learned that these fish are far more pelagic than we've ever known. You know, we've always thought what they've done, but Four Faces Sonar, amongst other electronics, have shown us what they do. And they're living out in the middle of the lake in almost every scenario. And they just literally roam around. And eventually when they get hungry and it's time to feed, they get on bait balls. So something that I would do, I would graph the lake and figure out where that bait's at. The first thing I always do, I tell people this too all the time. When I go to a new lake I've never been to, I see guys that don't fire their electronics up as they're idling out the marinas or the launching areas. And to me, that's the stupidest thing you could do. Not to call them stupid, but you know what I mean? Like
Right.
you should not do that. You should always have your electronics ready to roll before you even put your boat in the water. And when I'm idling out of the marina, I'm looking at so many different things right away that at a snapshot, I can get an idea, a small idea as to what's going on. So if I'm looking for bait, I'm idling out the marina. First thing I'm looking at is the water temperature. The second thing I'm looking at, if I see the presence of bait fish. And then thirdly, where's the thermocline at, right?
Okay.
Because I know that the likelihood of the fish being deeper than that is not good. These are the things that I'm quickly taking a snapshot of. Now, as I'm idling out, so many times I can't tell you how many times I'll graph a big giant ball of bait inside a marina on my way out of that bay or that cove or wherever I'm at. And it's not that, oh, there's fish right here, which there probably is. But what I'm more so looking at is what depth range is that bait using?
Right.
Right?
Okay.
10 to 15, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 50 to 60, whatever it is, right? Now, when I set out into the lake, running east, west, north, south, wherever, I have a small idea of where I should look. And it just kind of helps shorten the learning curve to get me to the end result, which is finding those bass. And so a lot of these bass are going to be suspended on bait balls, in and around bait, and or just using that general depth range. A lot of these fish aren't even holding on anything. Won't even be any bait in sight, and you'll just be trolling around. It's like, oh, damn, there's 4, 5, 6 bass, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you've said a couple things in there, the bait balls, and this time of year with with summer coming in and it's now going to fall, are these fish going to be more likely, the bait, I should say, not these fish, the bait, are they more likely to ball up right now, or are they more summertime? Or is it just something they do all the time? Because I've been out there and I've seen mass expanses of fish, bait fish everywhere, and then they kind of ball up here and there. Is this the time of year that they start doing that?
I mean, the bait fish right now are definitely schooled up. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they spawned earlier in the year, and so you have a lot of really small bait out there, what I call baby shads, but they're in big giant schools as well. And that's the bait that you see that's, half an inch, little tiny guys. Okay. And believe it or not, bass are feeding on that stuff crazy. And I mean, in big ones, 5, 6 pounders are eating those little things because there's just so many of them. But yeah, this is the time of year as summer turns into late summer, going into early fall, that bait definitely starts to get balled up and be really, really tight. And so to be extremely easy to find on your electronics.
Hi, this is Josh McMurray. I'm the city manager for the city of Oakley. We're located on the Delta. We have a beautiful shoreline, and we really want to promote the city as the gateway to the Delta and showcase everything that we have to offer. We have a beautiful downtown that's expanding, brand new restaurants. What we're trying to do is build that brand to make sure that people know that you can come to Oakley and you can do everything that you want associated with the Delta, and you can still stay here, eat here, and have a good time in a very family-friendly and safe environment.
Okay. Now you said that, and there's going to be a bunch of people listening to the show going, okay, so they're eating 1-inch bait. How do you fish for those? Because I know that was like the first thing I thought of is like, okay, so how am I going to go out there and pick that up? It's like, I got 6-inch worms, right?
Straight up. That's a good question. And again, I don't want to give up all my secrets here on this on the Bass Magazine podcast, but I will throw some nuggets, man. I feel like that's where we're at these days. You gotta give up something, dude. So something that I keep in my box all the time in my boat, in my tournament boat, like right now, you crack the lid, I have a bunch of crappie gear.
Okay.
That's not for crappie. It's not for crappie. It's for bass.
Okay.
Which I love the crappie fish too. But so many times we as bass fishermen don't even have anything small enough in our boat that can even remotely imitate what these bass are eating. So we can all relate to this. You see them out there, they're going crazy. There's 10 of them blowing up. Doosh, doosh, doosh. You're like, oh my gosh, look at them schooling. You roll over your high on trolling motor. You fire your Czar spook out there. That's like 6 inches long. You walk it right through the whole boil, and you don't even get a bite. You don't even get a sniff. You don't get a swirl. You don't get nothing. And it's like, what the heck? So then you reel that in. You're like, what else do I got? You throw your fluke out there. Nothing. You're like, dude, what the hell's going on? You try poppers. You try jerk bait. You ain't got a bite. And the problem is those fish are so keen. I've seen it. This has happened to me so many times. It's so frustrating. They're so keen on those baby shad, which are 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch long, that here you come walking with that Czar spook. It's almost scaring them. They're like, dude, that's not what we're eating.
Right.
And so these are the applications when I dig into my goodie bag and I'll pull out my old crappie jig, man. And that's one deadly weapon that does not get talked about much or hardly ever. And that's going to be my nugget for the show. I ain't giving up no more secrets, man. But that one right there, that's one that's really close to me. A good buddy of mine, my buddy Dustin Connell, my roommate, he about won a tournament and he didn't have anything else that he could throw. He was telling me what's going on. And I said, dude, I got you. I went in my box and I gave him what he needed and he absolutely crushed him on it. And we've never talked about it, but it's just something that I always keep with me at all times is a really good assortment of crappie jigs with good hooks and an assortment of baits, you know, crappie baits, of course.
Yeah.
That old school, hey, matching the hatch, man.
That's basically what I was going to ask is, you know, or that is what I asked, you know, it's like, how do you match the hatch when it's a 1/2 inch? You know, I mean, it's not like you're reaching into your bag of robo worms and pulling out something that small. They don't make it, right? It's just not there.
They don't make it.
That's a great, that is a great nugget right there.
Oh, for sure, dude. And but you know, a lot of West Coast guys know this, but they know it, I guess, in a different sense necessarily. I'm a big time crappie fisherman, so I have this stuff anyways. But you know, the floating fly is so huge at home. That's a dominant technique that guys absolutely crush them with certain times a year.
I was gonna say, you know, but you bring that up, but when I hear the floating fly, I look at, you know, Ish Monroe's so good with that thing, and he goes out and he fishes Oroville on it with it, and I see him. And this is not giving anything up. He already gave this up on the show before. But he goes out there and he's using that thing and throwing it out underneath the bobber and everything else and working that thing. But I see it in January. I see it in cold applications.
Exactly.
Does it work? Does it work like that in this heat? Is it the same kind of thing? It's like it'll work in the really cold, it'll work in the really hot.
Here's a problem. Yeah, it will. Absolutely it will. But the problem with the floating fly is you can't cast a fly without the float.
Right.
And these fish are often high in a water column, so there's no way to really get that bait to them and keep it in where they need it. So the crappie jig, which makes it better in my opinion, you know, I can actually cast it. I mean a pretty good cast too. You know, 50, 60 foot cast easily with a crappie jig. Because now you have a little soft plastic bait on there. You can actually wing that thing out there. You tie a floating fly on by itself, dude. Your leader knot's not going to even come out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? There's just no weight to it. So that's the biggest difference in my opinion. But yes, something in that floating fly realm would certainly work if you could cast that sucker.
If you could figure out, okay. So but I'm just saying, if you're throwing it out there, traditional floating fly, right? So a bobber on there, float on there, throwing it out. That's not the technique to try to use in the summer. You got to fish it without that. You got to find something, and that's where you're talking about the crappie jigs. You got to find something to fish in this transition when it's that tough without a float on it.
We're going to take a short commercial break and talk to you about one of our great sponsors, StoreQuest Self-Storage. They're here to help you get your garage back. As an outdoor enthusiast, you have gear, lots of expensive gear, equipment, boats, trailers, and vehicles, probably all stored in your garage. You need a storage space that's easy to access, secure, and climate controlled. And that's where StoreQuest comes in. Head over to storequest.com. Plus, members receive an exclusive 10% discount with the offer code BAM10. That's BAM 10. StoreQuest is the official self-storage partner of the BAM Tournament Trail. Now, back to the BAM Pod.
100%. And
Okay.
and even like so Buckeye, who's a sponsor of mine, shameless plug right here. But you know, this whole bait finesse system is a big deal right now. This BFS, you hear people
Yep.
talk about all the time. And so they just released a new bait today, actually. It came out today, called a Suspin. And basically it's a BFS underspin. So it's like this super micro small underspin. Some may even call it a crappie jig with an underspin on it, right?
Okay.
It's super awesome, and it serves the same purpose. And so again, just smaller compact baits that you can cast that actually match the hatch, and it's not, dude, if you throw something out there that is not similar to what they're eating, they, even in a frenzy like that, they will not bite it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
So,
I see.
yeah,
I mean, that makes sense that you're throwing, like, because the underspin again is a bait that I really think, I hear about in January, February. That's where I hear about that thing a ton, right? But
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you take something that finessey, and I guess we'll see how well it works as it's just come out today. So in the future, because it's gonna be used, obviously.
Sure.
Is it something that is that going to be something you can use cast well? The BFS system I have not ventured into, and I know you have. I
Sure.
know that it's something I talked to a lot of people at ICAST, so I'm trying to remember if I talked to you about it or not. But it was either you or Cody Meyer when we were talking about some of the BFS stuff that was coming out. And,
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be this new, I don't know. I don't want to say flash in the pan because that kind of seems negative a little bit, but it's not negative.
Yeah.
It's just a change because now you've got guys who want to fish bait casters. They want to fish this, but they want to fish finesse as well. So is that going to be is that going to be part of all of this? Is being able to
Dude,
throw this out there, super finesse stuff with bait casters?
yes. I think, I mean, in my opinion, this is just what I'll say on that. A lot of people for many years didn't understand. We didn't know. We didn't have a clue of how big of a bait bass would eat, right?
Right.
So with the help of a lot of Western anglers, some Japanese anglers as well, I mean, guys are out here throwing footlongs, man, Subway footlongs at them, right? And getting bit, catching giants, doing well in tournaments, etc. Then you have the extreme opposite end of that, which Z-Man, in my opinion, were the head runners on that to exploit the whole Ned rig and the TRD and these micro soft plastics. And we kind of laughed at them when they first came out. Like, what the hell is this little tiny thing right here? It's not going to catch anything, right?
Yeah.
Lo and behold, it starts winning tournaments left and right, right?
Right.
And so I feel as though all this BFS stuff has a place, and there will be times where it certainly shines and wins. And guys will look at it and go, damn, dude, I didn't realize that.
And I feel like this is just another tool put out there that we can use and say, you know what? Like you just said, there's a time for swim baits. I mean, there are guys still on the West Coast throwing some obnoxious swim baits, right? And they're catching big.
Straight up.
And they're doing it all, and it slowly but surely has made its way across the country. The same thing. This is all going to start somewhere, and it's going to spread out there, and it's going to be a part of it. But at the same time, we're talking about these transitions that are going on. What do you feel is going to be if you're fishing a really tough transition? Like the one that I just know is coming up, because I'm a fisherman too. I go out there, I fish these things, and it gets tough out there. If you had a choice, completely a part of all this, right? You're going to go out there.
Yep.
Are you going to fish finesse or are you going to fish power? What's going to be your best way? What's the way that you feel is the best to approach it? Or is it a
That's
little
a
bit of
very
all of
tough
it?
question, dude. I was gonna say that's so hard for me to just pick one because in tough conditions, I like to do both.
Okay.
I like to really put that trolling motor on high, pick up a top water bait like a Chopo or a buzz bait, you know, or something like that, and just burn the bank. A horny toad's another good one, and I'm looking for 5 big bites, right?
Right.
And so if I make 3,000 casts, however many casts in a day, if I could get 5 good bites, I can do well in this tournament, right?
Okay.
Or is it so tough to where I need to pull out the spinning rods, the 6-pound, drop shots, Ned rigs, you know, all the things we spoke of, this BFS stuff, you know, that whole. And I have had so much success with both that I literally can't say one or the other. I'm going to say you have to have both.
Okay.
And me personally, I'd probably mix it up, to be honest.
Okay,
50-50.
so here's another good question then. You're in a tournament, you're fishing for big money, you're out there. At what point during that tournament do you feel like I need to catch I'm going to need to catch 100 bass today and go through all of them to try to get to those 5 fish that I need that I think are big enough? Or are you simply going to start off the day and say, I'm going for 5 bites only? How is it in your mind that you approach a lake? You know, this is where I think this especially comes in. I know you just answered it a little bit, but when you go to approach a lake and you go out there and you go, you know what, I need 5 bites, no matter which way you get them, whether it's through catching 100 fish or 5 fish, which way is the one that you feel when you're looking at a tournament? It's tough out there right now and you're going out there. Which one are you going to focus on the most? Just winging a prayer, hoping you get those 5, or going for the numbers and hoping that you get 5 big out of 100?
So for me, that all is dictated on my personal knowledge of the fishery. So
Okay.
let me give you an example. And guys at home, an example that can relate to this firsthand with our fisheries, right? If I'm on the California Delta, my home pond, I'm fishing for 5 big ones. Period.
Okay.
I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna make as many casts on as many places as I can where I feel like big ones get, and I'm fishing for 5 big ones. Period.
Okay.
Now, in that same breath, on a lake such as Orville, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of experience on Orville. I
Right.
fished there 15, 20 times, right?
Right.
And what I know about Orville is it's full of bass, loaded with them, right?
Yep.
Not necessarily a big fishery. It has some really good ones, but it is just loaded with fish, right?
Right. Right.
So in that scenario, with the knowledge that I have, I would probably go play the numbers game there because I don't necessarily know how to target only big ones on that lake. Whereas another guy, which I can't call anybody now, but another guy who's a local on that pond, basically the equivalent to me on the Delta, he is on Orville, he would probably do it the total opposite. He'd go out with a big swim bait and fish points with a swim bait for 5 big ones. And so I think it just comes down to the amount of knowledge and experience you have on each fishery will determine that. And I think you can find success in both lanes. You go out and catch 100 bass on Orville, by the end of the day, you'll probably have a 14-pound bag, which I don't know if 14 is still good on Orville like it used to be back when I was little. If you had 14 pounds back in the day, when I was coming up, if you had 14 pounds, you did some major damage on Orville.
Right.
You know?
Yeah,
Or like, it'd be like the equivalent of like a 25-pound bag on a Delta.
It's still close. It's still close out there. I mean, you're gonna, you want it maybe have gone up a little bit. You probably want to be in that 15 to 16 pound range now, which is good that the lakes are doing that.
Sure.
But hey, that was a great answer, man. I that it does come down to knowledge, and that kind of leads me to something. You've been out on I don't know. You've been out away from California. Let's just leave it at that. You've been away from California for a while now. You've had to change the way that you fished when you got out there. Everybody across the world, everybody always says, "Oh, a bass is a bass is a bass." I personally, I don't find that to be true. I've fished in Alabama, I've fished on Gunnersville, I've fished, in different places out there. I fished in Florida. And I'll tell you what, as much as you want to say a bass is a bass is a bass, and yes, they'll eat everything. I don't buy it, man. Do you now that
Yeah.
you've been away from California, do you feel like that's the truth still? That you know what, a bass is a bass no matter where you're at?
Man, that's a tough one, dude. Yes and no. I'll tell you my personal experience, man. I
Yeah.
came out here, obviously, to Alabama on tour as a rookie in 2014, and the vast majority of my experience was on the California Delta.
Right.
So I was a flipper, I was a frogger, chatterbait guy, square bill guy. These are the tools of the trade when you live at home on a Delta. You don't really care about water temperature. We look at water clarity. We stick a rod in the freaking water. It's like, oh, it's that deep, right? I mean, that's kind of how we rolled. Well, the first thing I learned when I came to Alabama and I jumped out on the FLW tour fishing with these seasoned veterans
Mm-hmm.
is if you don't know how to finesse fish, you are about to get your butt whipped. I learned that really
Wow.
quick. And you brought up Cody Meyer earlier, and I know Cody really well, and I was talking with Cody about that my rookie year, and I was just kind of picking his brain a little bit, and he's like, "Bro, you need to pick." I think I owned like 2 spinning rods at the time. I was a flipper, dude. I was trying to flip I'm at Lake Hartwell, bro, South Carolina, trying to flip. You just can't do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
And so I had to learn the hard way that pick up these spinning rods, get your butt off the bank, try to find some off the beaten path type stuff, and that's where your consistent check cashing is going to come from. And the more I started doing that, the more consistent I became. And so it took me a couple of years of getting my butt whipped to really make that adjustment.
Okay. Boy, that leads me though. God, I just have so many questions after that one. So I did an interview with Laker Howell, and he talked about ledge fishing. Now,
Oh yeah.
I'm guessing almost everybody I've ever talked to back there understands ledges now, or maybe they don't understand them, but they try to understand them.
Right.
And how it works. Coming from California, coming from places that, in my opinion, don't really have ledges. We don't have ledges like what they do in
Right.
Tennessee, what they do in
No.
Alabama. Like that's just not a thing out here, right? It's just the
No.
lakes are just built differently. Is
Yep.
it something that you've learned to incorporate? Is it into your fishing now that you've been out there?
Oh, you have to. It's to be a successful professional angler, man. You just have to be able to do it all. Now, I'm not saying I'm good at it at all. I'm just saying you better learn. So, like, again, going back to my rookie year, I'll never forget.
Yeah.
My rookie year, I know nothing, dude. I'm green as a blade of grass, coming from California. We had 2 tournaments. We had one on Pickwick in early June,
Okay.
and we had one on Kentucky Lake in late June, both in
Ooh.
June, right?
Ooh.
And I don't know nothing about this ledge fishing. I just keep hearing about it, right? All right, so what do? I go to Pickwick Lake, and I said, man, screw them ledges. I'm getting some blow-ups on topwater on the bank, throwing buzz baits. I'm throwing Zarspook, whatever. I was throwing
Yeah.
Vixens. I was getting bit on the bank. I felt good about it. I'm like, dude, I'm going to just do my thing, right?
Yeah.
Day 1, I go out there, I catch 13 pounds, right? Dude, I get to weigh in. These guys are dropping, astronomical bags on the scale, bro. And I'm like, oh my God. And that's when it hit me like, all right, dude, you gotta stop doing that, bro. You gotta get out there and learn this quote unquote ledge fishing. And so
Yeah.
since then I've spent a lot of time obviously trying to understand it. And it's all current driven stuff, man.
Right.
And again, being a Delta guy, I understand how bass set up on current places, but it's different when it's 15, 20, 25, 30 foot underwater and it's little subtle points or a little nub over here, or it's a little hard spot right there. Like there's just so much to it. It takes a lot of time to really get dialed in.
Yeah, talking to Laker, it was really interesting to hear that show. And anybody that wants to listen to that show, go back and listen to it because it is absolutely a great show. He talks about what we're doing about that, but what we're just talking about, that ledge fishing, and how important it is. And that's kind of why I wanted to put it to Mark here, because I hear this, I still hear that. A fish is a fish, and that's the way it is. But when you're fishing out here on the West Coast and you're fishing on these lakes that are, 300-400 feet deep, and then you go back and you get to a Gunnersville where it's 25-30 feet is deep, maybe some 40s out there.
Yep.
I mean, it's basically like a Clear Lake everywhere out there, right? I mean, you're just
100%.
you're just, it's just different. And when you talk about, when we started talking about transition out here and how tough the transitions can be out here, and when you're talking about what you're looking for on a body of water, looking for the colder water coming in, looking for the streams, looking for the creeks, looking for that sort of thing.
Yep.
When you look at the differences, I often wonder how you fished out here for so long. I mean, this is where you grew up, you fished this water, you fished the ocean, you fished this, there's so many different things. Then you go back there and you've got to change up everything. And when we talk about transitions, I mean, you went through a giant transition just moving back there and starting over. And now you've had a successful career back there.
Man.
It becomes so hard to look at these transitions and what people have to go through and the differences between where you're at now and being back out here. And I feel like it's such a hard deal to talk about sometimes what it is these fish do. Is there any one thing that you've noticed? I mean, you talked about the thermocline a little bit in there. You talked about the bait fish. Is there any one thing that you just say, you know what, guys, if you're going out and you're just struggling, try this? Because I know you don't want to get up all your nuggets, but my job is to get as many of those nuggets out as I can. And I know you already dropped the crappie jigs on them, but what would you tell?
That was a heavy one too.
What would you tell guys? It's like, you've seen all of it, the country now. You've seen it out there. You've seen it out here. So what is it that you would just say, hey, you know what? When I find it super tough and I don't care where I'm at, this is what I will do to find some bites, to find some fish that are willing to eat. Because I think that in everything we do in bass fishing, the biggest question is, how do I get fish to eat that don't want to eat? And I think a guy that's at your level, you should know this by now.
Yeah, I should, but I still hit my head on the wall all the time. But that's just bass fishing, man. But I mean, the one thing that I always revert to when things just get absolutely horrid, which I run into this a lot, man. It's just the fact of the matter. There's more people bass fishing now than there's ever been.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to just go down the bank anymore and just get a bite. Like when I was a kid, it's like, you just can't do that. You have to be very intentful when you go fishing, man, and you got to work hard to find these places and these patterns, etc. But the one thing I always revert to though is what we joke about, me and my buddies, is whatever the dominant cover is. So I show up to a lake like I'll use Clear Lake as an example. Clear Lake's a great lake. So in my mind, the most dominant piece of cover on Clear Lake as a whole, right? There's all kind of cover out there. You got tules, you got grass, you got rock piles. But the most dominant cover to me are boat docks.
Okay.
On Clear Lake. Because they're everywhere, right? That's the one thing I know for sure. I'm like, damn, there's just so many boat docks there. Okay. If all else fails, if I can't get bit on nothing else, I'm going to revert to boat dock fishing there, because that's the most dominant cover. And fish will always be on the most dominant cover on any given body of water. So that's something that I always kind of use.
Okay. That's a great tip right there, man. I like the way you broke that down, because you can go to some lakes that don't have, boat docks. You can go to some places that don't have grass. You can go to some places that don't have laydowns and logs and trees and rock piles. And maybe every place has a rock pile, but I mean, it's one of those things, that, and across the country. I mean, that's a great point. You go to Gunnersville, there are boat docks. You go to, you find grass,
There's
you
boat docks.
find this, you find laydowns, there were so many different things. You go to different lakes, Texas, you're going to want to look for trees. I think that's a great answer,
Yep.
man. I think people should really take that, dominant cover
Dude,
is
that's the dominant cover, bro. I'm trying to think of another example that I could give you. So like,
Texoma. Give me
well,
Texoma.
dude, I've never been to Texoma, so I can't speak on Texoma. I wish I could, man. That's one lake I haven't been to.
Man.
But I'm trying to, because most of the listeners are West Coast guys, so I'm trying to give another example.
Oh no, we
of a
got
West Coast
listeners
lake
all over the
to where
country,
people
man.
go,
No,
okay.
don't pigeonhole that one. We got people all over. I got people listening in China right now, man. Let's call it good. Let's see what you got.
There we go. I think I lost you for a second. There you go. Yeah, well, that's true too. I don't know. You guys are West Coast based off. Like a lot of people the listeners are West Coast guys, but yeah, I mean, for example, Guntersville, right? Guntersville, to me, in my mind, the most dominant cover on Lake Guntersville is actually grass.
Right.
Right, because that place is just slaps. If you ever been in the summertime, I mean, it's mind blowing how much grass there is, right?
Yeah.
So you may try fishing boat docks there, and it's not necessarily going off. Or you may try fishing ledges, or you may try fishing, I don't know, laydowns, whatever the case is on Guntersville, and it's just not working. Well, it's like, well, if all else fails, I'm going to fish grass because that's the most dominant cover. So I feel like the biggest population of bass on that given fishery will be in the most dominant cover in the lake.
Yeah.
So that's another example.
Yeah, and I just
example,
love that
but
answer.
definitely
I think that's a great answer for a lot of people, and it gives them some place to go. It's like, oh, you know what, this lake is full of this. I can do that. Okay,
exactly.
I can take that
and
work
it's simple
with it.
and easy, man.
Right.
Exactly. It's easy to identify generally. If I mean, we're talking about just cruising around the lake, put your glasses on, looking in the water, just cruising the shoreline. Very easy things to identify that you don't have to overthink. You can go, dang, well, yeah, there's a ton of whatever on this lake, and that's what I'm going to fish. So.
Exactly. Like I said, I think that's a great answer. There's some baits out there that I know we all, you grow up, you grow up fishing different baits, right? And I think this is some of the things that I really like. Like, I've heard you talk about topwater a lot, and obviously that's something you like doing because otherwise you wouldn't. But it's one of those things that I think everybody likes a great topwater bite. Everybody likes a good, this kind of bite or that kind of bite. Is there one that you came up with, that you came up growing up, or you grew up fishing that you've just stuck with this entire time? Like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you one. If you come from California, you fish the Delta, I'm going to say that you probably threw a rattle trap around a little bit. Every once in a while, you probably had a rattle trap in your hand. Is that something that you still fish with to this day?
Dude, it's so funny. Everybody knows my title sponsor is Bill Lewis, has been my entire career. I've never had another title sponsor. And what's so enjoyable about them being my title sponsor is that is so genuine and true to who I am as a fisherman. Literally one of the first bass I ever caught in my life was on rattle trap. And for so many years, fishing and competing on the California Delta, so many bass have hit the scales. So many big ones have been caught on an old school original Bill Lewis rattle trap. I mean, there's not a listener listening to this show right now that does not have one in their box. There's not. Everybody has a rattle trap, dude.
Right.
I don't care where you fish, in the desert in Arizona, all the way to New York, up north in Minnesota, it does not matter. Down in Florida, they bite a trap everywhere, and it's a dominant, iconic lure that everybody throws. And I've caught too many big ones to count on it on that Delta. Let me tell you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I love asking that question because it's one of those ones that I feel like it brings you back to your youth. When you start this thing, when all of this started, and you mentioned something there, that like when you were a kid, there wasn't that many people fishing bass the way they are now. There's been a lot of changes. I mean, there's high school clubs now. There's college clubs. There's everything is kind of out.
Junior high, dude.
Junior high. Everything is out there now, right? This sport is what I would say I hope we can all agree on this, that this is actually becoming a true sport you've got MLF back there, you're fishing the BPT. And there's the MLF stuff back there. There's the Bassmaster stuff back there. And now we have the BAM Trail out here on the West Coast. And I'm going to get into that with you a little bit about, the whole, what do we got to do to get you home? But, I know you've already said you would never do that. It's, but it's one of those things.
Not, dude, I would love to come home and fish the BAM Trail and any other trails, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, I miss fishing California so bad, man.
Yeah.
Just because we truly have some of the best fisheries in the country. And I feel like the country and the world just doesn't know that. I run into people all the time out here in Alabama or in Texas, wherever I'm at, and they're like, there's like, you bass fish in California? Like there's bass, like they're shocked that there's bass in California. And I'm like, are you kidding? Like, not only is there bass, it's like the best fishing in the world. Like, have you never been? Like, it's crazy to me. But we don't get showcased because the tournament trails never come out west, and it's really sad. And I've been a huge advocate for that over the years, but it just hasn't happened. But there's trails like BAM and others that continue the tradition and the representation of the Western angler who oftentimes has to pack up, move back east. But you'll notice a lot of the West Coast guys are pretty successful tournament anglers.
Oh yeah, there's a few names out there. I mean, you've got the Skeet Reeses, the Ishman Rose, the Cody Myers, the Mark Daniels Jr. There's I mean, just off the top of my head, real quick, like Justin that. Lucas. I mean, there's some Justin Lucas. Yeah, I mean, there's some guys. Luke Clausen. I mean, he's from Washington.
There's so many, dude. Aaron Martins.
Yeah,
so I'm saying, dude, there's so many, dude. The list is crazy long. Ish Monroe, we spoke of him earlier. Jerry Littner. I mean, the list is crazy long, right? But what I said that, the reason I was saying that, not to be boastful by any means, it's the diversity of the fishing that we have at home that allows guys to be able to come back east and have success because they're well versed in a lot of different styles, techniques, water conditions, etc. And again, that's not being showcased on the national scene, so people don't get to see that. And it's really sad, in my opinion. I just really hope that one of these days, Bassmaster, hopefully they come back out. No. Major League Fishing, I hope they come back out. I say come back out. They've never been, but they're there in the Toyota Series aspect. But let's bring the national trails out west, man.
I will tell you right now. As the BAM Trail guy now, they can stay where they're at. Because what we're gonna do, we're gonna change it out here. We're gonna give I've said this a bunch of times. We're gonna give guys a place to call home, and that home is gonna be the West Coast. Because what we're doing here at the BAM Trail, the way that Mark Lassane has changed the atmosphere out here, what he's offering, $50,000 first prize next year, Super 60. I mean, it is gonna be game changer.
Awesome.
Those
that's awesome.
Those events out there, they can keep the South. They can keep their area. They can stay.
They can have it.
Huh? Oh yeah, they can be.
They can have it.
They can have it. We'll
take, man. Well, I get
our house.
No, for sure, and I love that, and I hope you guys have all the success with that, man. And it sounds like you guys are off to a great start.
I wish we had it. Before, I wish we had this before we lost all of our top anglers. And I don't think we lost them, but the Skeet Reeses, if he could have been out here on the West Coast and made a name for himself, been an angler out here, the Ishman Rowe, who's still doing it, he's fishing our stuff out here, and he's doing it back here.
He's all the time at home,
right? So it's
for sure.
It's one of those things. It's like there are so many great anglers that could have been still here. And I hear names that are talking about they'd like to come out here and try to do this out here now that there's some money on the line. There's some real fishing out here.
100%.
Yeah, they want to come back.
What's the let me ask you this.
Sure.
For just knowledge purposes, because I don't know, what are the requisites for a guy to fish the BAM Trail? Is that an invite only deal?
So it isn't so it's a qualification, and the qualification is through the Pro-Ams. That's one. And then there is an application process that we have in place right now. It's still open. And I think the last of it is going to be just qualification and the application. I think that's the only way we're going right now. Mark knows that a little better than
That's
I
cool.
do. But yeah, it's one of those
Sure.
things that you got to qualify to be in that Super 60, man. It's a packed field right now. It's the names. If you look it up and just look up Super 60 and see
Yeah,
who
yeah.
they're
I've
doing,
seen.
you've
You
seen
know,
the
it's crazy,
names,
man.
man.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But I've been gone so long, man. So let's see.
Right.
I left in 2014,
Yeah.
January of 2014. There's so many young and up and comers
Oh
out
my
west, back
gosh.
home now, that I don't know who they are. But
Oh,
of course, the guys that were fishing when I was home still fishing,
Oh yeah.
I know all those guys. But there's just a lot of young talent out there, which is awesome to see.
Oh.
West Coast young talent. And I haven't had the pleasure to meet these guys yet.
Yeah, there are some names coming up that are just absolutely 100% just sticks. There's a guy out here right now, I didn't even know how well he was doing until I'm on the stage. I hear their names come up, I announce them, that sort of thing. Conrad Demekis, man. Watch for that guy right there. He is
Okay.
going to be making some big, big waves. He's got a name coming up. I mean,
I love
there's
it.
the Greg Gutierrez's out there who've been there forever and they're doing great.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
I just interviewed Ken Ma and Greg Gutierrez both, and they said the same thing. It's like, who comes after us? We can't be here forever. So who comes after
Of
us?
course.
And I'm telling you what, there's some
Oh
guys
yeah.
out
Oh,
there.
they coming. Oh, they coming.
They're coming.
They're
I
coming.
mean, there's some
For sure.
really good guys coming up that are, like I said, Conrad's right there. I've been
That's
surprised
dope.
at what he's done. I mean, there's still the boomers are out there, there's just a ton of
Yep.
good anglers out here, man. And I know I can hear it in your voice when you say, there's just the West is packed with some top anglers.
Oh,
And
it always has been and it always
right.
will be, man.
Yeah, and when they look at that and what BAM's doing now, it's going to be definitely interesting to see how big we can make it out here on the West Coast. When people
For sure.
start giving us the attention again and saying, "Oh,
Yep.
wow, they're actually doing
Yep.
something amazing out there." But
Well, if y'all start letting guys cherry pick, y'all give me a call and I might jump in one when I'm home.
you can now you can do a pro-am all you want, but you're not getting in the tour that way.
I got you. Hey, well, I have to try.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, we've got about 8 to 10 minutes right now left on this show. Mark, thank you for doing this. I want to I open it up every time that everybody knows who Mark Daniels probably is. And if you don't know, I'm going to give you the mic right now, man, and just say, hey, tell us who you are, how they can find you, where they can look you up, how they can keep watching you. And, it's you right now. Here it is. Talk about your sponsors and everything else.
Right on, man. Well, I appreciate it. I'm going to do this a little bit different, man, than I've done it in years past, because I think there's a lot of young, inspiring anglers that listen to these podcasts. I see so much youth out there in the sport, man. On social media, I meet these cats at the ramp. Everywhere I look, these are inspiring kids that I feel like want to become professional anglers. And so I'm gonna kick it off like this and just let these people know, like, dude, I'm no different than anybody else, man. I'm actually it's funny because I'm from the inner city. Like you said, I grew up in Richmond as a child, and although that's next to the bay, most kids that I grew up with weren't really into fishing, right? Mm-hmm. And that could be said for all of the inner city kids across the nation. But, I like to think that I'm a representation of those who people wouldn't necessarily thought to love bass fishing. And so here I am, man. And so I try to make myself visible in that realm where people can see me and look to me as an example of that. But if you want to check me out and get closer to me, of course, all my social media is simply just my name, Mark Daniels Jr. That goes for Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I drop a video every week during the off season. I drop a video every 3 days during the season, man. I'm super busy with my YouTube channel, so that's been growing pretty good. Having fun doing it, man. But again, man, just an ordinary kid, man, from the city that loved the sport of bass fishing, that put everything I had into it, and I wasn't taking no for an answer, man. So uprooted my family, moved to Alabama, and the rest is history, bro. And I'm loving life. Everything's good. I'm happy, bro. And of course, obviously, I couldn't do this without my sponsors, man. But I'm not going to bore you guys with a long laundry list of sponsors. But I've been very blessed to have the partners that I have, and I do not take it for granted, man. So every day I wake up and get to fish. I fished today with my dad, which was super cool. Pops has moved out here to Alabama with me. He's getting up in age. And so I'm spending a lot of time with my dad trying to keep him on some bass as well. And we had a great time, man. So just another day in the life, man, with MDJ, bro. This is what we doing.
All right, man. You know, it took me a while to nail Mark down. I mean, he's a very busy guy.
Oh, for sure. We've been doing this for years.
We went through 2 ICAST. It took me 2
Yes.
ICAST, 3 years in there because I missed one of them, but 3 years it took me to get him on this show to come out here. And it's been, you know, I wanted to do something with him for a long time. And I love the fact that, you know, he's taking this sport to different levels and reaching new people with it. You know, I think our youth really looks up to a guy like you and sees that and says, hey, if he did it, I can do it. And, you know, you come from, like you said, you come from the inner city. And it's not something that we think about. I think inner city kids especially think about basketball. They think about football. They think about baseball.
Yep.
They think about the bat and the ball or the ball sports, and that's what they think of. There is a living. There is a lifestyle to be made. I mean, I'm not gonna go look up what Mark is sitting on right now. Okay, just I Googled it. It's there. It's easy to find. Go look at what he's done for himself. I mean, okay, it's I won't say what he's done, but he's made a good living for himself, and he is living positive. And you know what? It comes from bass fishing, man. And you can name all the sponsors you want. These people can be as bored as they want on there. You got anybody you want to give love to, you do it, man. Because you know what? If it wasn't for sponsors, you wouldn't be living the life you're living.
Oh, there's no doubt, bro. Without sponsors, there's no me, man, at all. And that's 1,000,000%. And, you know, I definitely want to thank GSM and Bill Lewis, man. Like I told you guys in the interview, Bill Lewis has been with me my entire career, man. And I'm very proud of that. You know, business is business, and a lot of things shift and change. Of course, as the economy ebbs and flows, you know, sponsorship come and go, unfortunately. You know, that's just part of what we do. But Bill Lewis has been my primary sponsor, dude, from the very beginning, and they have still stuck with me through thick and thin, man, and I'm so appreciative of them. And then, of course, last year I joined with Team Toyota, so that's super dope. Woo. A lot of iconic guys over there, and like the, you know, Van Dam, of course, Ike and Nelly, Swindles of the world. I mean, you know, some of the biggest names in bass fishing, man, to be standing alongside these guys, Terry Strogan. Sometimes I got to pinch myself, man. It's crazy. I'm like, these are the guys that I literally grew up watching, man. You know what I mean? But Bass Pro Shops, huge partner of mine. Columbia on the apparel, Real Tree Fishing, Seagar, Buckeye, and TH Marine.
Awesome,
of course,
man.
And Mercury Marine. I'm sure I'm leaving a couple out, man. But.
Oh, probably. But you know, it is what it is, and that's what you know. We're almost out of time, so I want to ask you one question that I got asked this question at ICAST, and it was just a random. We were having a conversation. A random guy walked up. We were talking about it, and he runs some youth stuff. So I'm going to pose this question to you because I believe, with all of the forward-facing sonar garbage going on right now, right?
Yep.
If you're talking to a young kid, and this is how it was posed to me. All of our young kids are coming up and they feel like they don't want to get into the sport because they can't afford to have forward-facing sonar. And if they don't have it, they can't compete. Do you think that that's true in any way, shape, or form? If you don't have forward-facing sonar on your boat, you can't compete in bass fishing.
Is that a yes or no question?
Yeah, I want that. I kind of want to.
Or is that something you want me to elaborate
I will.
on?
Well, I'll tell you what. Answer it yes or no first, and then elaborate.
Well, the direct answer is yes. I think. Yes, as in I got turned around a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, as in you cannot compete without forward-facing sonar.
Okay.
Yes, you cannot.
Okay.
You cannot. 100%. Which, again, I hate to even get it. I don't even really want to get on the topic, but the direct answer of that, sadly, it's misfortunate. Because I run across, again, I run across these kids all the time. I meet them.
Right.
And the sad reality is, if you do not have forward-facing sonar, you cannot compete. It's sad to say that, but it's the truth. 100% the truth. So
Okay.
it seems like there's some organizations that are taking steps to fix that, but the direct answer to that is you cannot compete without it right now.
Okay. I and you're one of the guys that's out there fishing it. You're one of the guys that's out there on the water using it and being a part of this, and it's in your life right now.
Yeah.
So I will take your answer to heart with that, and let everybody out there and hear it. I, on the other hand, disagree with you completely. I think that there's still there's still plenty of ways.
There's tell me who's competing without it. Tell me one guy.
Well,
John Cox is literally the only guy.
Well, and that's the thing is right now, I think that young people coming up, getting into this sport, don't need to have it on their boats. They don't need to worry about that. Just go out and go fishing. You know what?
Well,
pick up a rod.
But you used the word compete though. You use the word compete.
Well, and I believe
that's the difference.
Now they're competing at a lower level than what you are. They're competing at the high school level. They're competing at the college level. They're competing at the junior highs.
But if you look at all these tournaments,
right,
these high school tournaments, which have 300 and 400 boats in them,
right,
whether they're bass, Major League Fishing, or anything in between, they are solely being dominated and won with forward-facing sonar every single time, every single one of them.
Yeah.
College, every single tournament. Major League Fishing, every single tournament. Bassmasters, every single tournament.
Okay.
Is being dominated by forward-facing sonar. You cannot. Now, you can go fishing and hone your craft and work on your casting skills and learn how to read water and learn how to use your electronics and graph. And there's so many things you can learn to make you a better angler. Yes. But as far as competing, that's the key word.
Okay.
As far as competing in tournaments, you cannot and will not compete without forward-facing sonar right now.
All right.
Where it's allowed. When it's allowed, you better be using it. And it's misfortunate. And the reason I say that, it's misfortunate. The technology is awesome. But when we're talking about high school kids and younger, and when I think about my high school self, me being one of those kids, I couldn't afford forward-facing sonar.
Yep.
So what, can I not compete now? Can I not be a part of the tournament? Can I not be part of the party? And that's what's sad.
Yes.
In my opinion, that's sad.
Yes.
It really is.
That
goes
agree
along
with you
with
completely. That it's sad.
And that ties right into.
Right. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's misfortunate, man. I hate that part of it, but the technology is absolutely amazing. You just cannot deny that. But I hate that. I met a little kid a month ago, and he was getting a boat, and it was it wasn't the latest and greatest boat, but nevertheless he was getting out on the water because his parents put together enough money to get him a nitro, and they're getting ready to get out there, and all he was worried about, this kid, man, and they couldn't afford to put it on his boat, but that was all he was worried about, was getting forward-facing sonar, and his parents couldn't afford to put it on there. And it was such a deflating moment for me because I just think about myself, man. I got my first boat when I was in high school. But back then, you didn't need none of that. You needed some rods and reels and some jigs, and let's go.
Right.
But times have changed, man. You cannot compete without that stuff, dude, unfortunately.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I'll take that. I will take that for, coming from who it comes from, especially, you've seen all of it from your youth all the way up to what it is right now. And I don't want to discuss it anymore other than that. It's just one question I wanted to pose to you. And
for sure.
And that's how that works, and it puts another, I guess, argument out there on the table as to whether it should be or shouldn't be, and at what levels it needs to come into play. Because we need young people coming into this sport. We need the next Kevin Van Dams. He just retired. We need the next Mark Daniels Jr. You're not going to be there forever. Great, when you talk about the Gerald Swindells, the Mike Iaconellis, all these guys, they're not going to be there forever. I mean,
No.
There's a couple guys.
A lot of these guys, in fact, are, on their way out. And I say that respectfully. I mean, not
Right.
on their way out because they can't compete anymore. It's just they are at that age and at that point in their career. Like you said, Kevin just retired. And I think in the next 5 years, we'll see several of these names we've mentioned probably follow suit.
Yeah.
Right. And then shortly behind them, there'll be guys like myself in my era. We'll be retiring too. And so we need guys to come in and take that position. And it doesn't need to be biased. And when I say bias, from a social economical standpoint, not from anything else, it's just I want it to be a game that everybody can play. Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And and it's I've got in the next couple shows, I've got a guy that pretty much everybody out there knows, and I'm gonna pose some of these questions to him, and that's Jimmy Houston. Jimmy Houston's gonna be coming on here, and we're gonna be talking about a little bit of that. I mean, you got guys like Rick Clunn that are still fishing, and it's like, dude, that guy, he's an anomaly in this sport. I mean, I'm sorry, but he's what?
And he just hung it up himself.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's Shaw Grigsby, same thing. He just finally gave in.
Yeah.
But it's it's one of those things that, gosh, I don't know. These guys are going out, but we have younger guys up there still. I mean, yourself, you're not that far along. You got some years to go. If you're gonna compete if you're gonna compete as long as Rick Clunn, you got some years to go.
I probably ain't gonna go that long, but yeah, I still got some time, bro. I got some time to burn. There's no doubt.
Let me ask you this real quick. How are you doing with? Are you gonna bring your kids up in this sport?
My kids have taken different paths, man.
Okay.
And I'm totally proud of that, man. I've never forced fishing on my kids. Both my kids love to fish.
Right.
Yeah, they both love it. They enjoy it. We go all the time. My son's really into fashion and design, and so I'm supporting him and pushing him 100% in that, man, and to become his own business owner and have his own clothing brand. And my daughter wants to be a veterinarian, so she's working really hard towards that. And so, of course, I'm gonna support her in that, man. And so that's the direction my kids are in right now. And I'm the only hardcore fisherman around here.
Hey, and there, and nothing wrong with that, man. You be the supportive parent.
No, for sure.
You need to be. Everybody 100%. Should have a different life, but I hear that a lot with guys who are in this sport. Even Laker Howell now coming out there and he's fishing. Great interview, man. Great interview, cool great guy, great person. I've seen some of these young guys. Sure. It's like I watching what they're doing, and I just wondering, but yeah. But I'll tell you what, we are at the end of this show, and I've gone too long, so it'll be a little longer show. But what do I care?
It's all good.
Everybody can enjoy it and like it as much as I did. Mark, thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
It's all good. I'm glad we were able to make it happen.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%, man. Thank you. And everybody, if you did not get anything out of this show, please, once again, go back and re-listen because you missed a bunch of stuff. He dropped some good bombs out there. He's got some good information out there, some nuggets, as he says, for sure. So go back, listen to this show again, pick it up, and hope you enjoyed it. And again, like I said, in the next couple weeks, I'll be having Jimmy Houston on here. I've got Cody Meyer on the line. I'm trying to get him going on here. We got some names coming up, man. We're gonna have some, and we'll be back with the BAM Trail winners. So, thanks again, and Mark, we'll talk to you again soon, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. No, not a problem, dude. Thank you. Shout out to all my West Coast guys. I appreciate every one of y'all. Y'all keep working hard. It ain't nothing to do it, man. You might have to move, but you can make it happen.
All right, man. We'll talk to you again soon. Everybody, good night.
Dude. Take care. See you.